all these ultra rich people, like what do they invest in?
What is important is to set up certain level of trust, because it's about money. Being honest and showing up was very important. Stock market is nothing but demand and supply. So when you're small, attracting talent is very difficult. So what looked like a curse actually
Turned out to be a boon.
a boon for us. Money is also a spiritual experience.
Hello everyone, namaste. लाइफ में देर आर सो मेनी हीरोज फ्रॉम whom we can learn so many things. तो ऐसे ही एक हीरो के साथ हम आए हैं जिनका नाम है बिधान रॉय. He has led a very interesting and very successful career in a big investment advisory company, and he has been working with the family office and enterprise group. So आज हम उनके साथ समझेंगे कि कैसी उनकी जर्नी रही और उससे हम क्या सीख सकते हैं. Hello Bidhan, welcome.
Hello.
It is very nice. Thank you so much for doing this. I'm really excited. So when you say like there is family office, and what does this really mean?
Right. So there are a lot of people or entrepreneurs who would have sold their businesses, and some of them would have got 4,000 crores, 5,000 crores, 10,000 crores. So you can't manage it by yourself. So you need to create an office.
I see.
Right? Office to take care of these investments. There'll be batteries of people who will be working for you.
So these are the high net worth individual HNIs.
Ultra high net worth.
Ultra high net worth. Okay.
So that is so they set up their own family offices. So I used to interact with people who were running these family offices.
I see.
So that's one aspect. The another part is that a lot of clients do not set up their family offices. They kind of give advisory mandate or investment mandate to some professionals or to some banks. So there the investment decisions are directly spoken with those individuals, with to whom the money basically belongs to. So you don't have a separate family office for that.
I see. So just for these people, I think the investment advice might be a little different. No? I'm just curious, like all these ultra rich people, like what do they invest in?
So see, investments is basically like a journey in itself. But what is important is to understand the needs. Whether you are ultra rich, whether you are rich, or whether you are rich in making, your needs will be, each one of will have their own needs. So someone who is ultra rich, he or she may be generating a lot of income from their businesses.
Right.
So they may not want their investments to also be equally risky.
Okay.
They would want it to be something which is
secure,
more secure, and it also kind of generates a slightly good return. But someone who is yet to become rich and is aspirationally rich, then they would like to probably invest their money into something which gives them much higher returns.
I see. And by that virtue, a little bit riskier.
Riskier. But not necessarily it will always work like this. There are people who are ultra rich. They do not mind taking a lot of risks with their existing money because they are very secured. Otherwise as well, that their business is generating enough cash. So they would want to probably invest these amount again into something which generates higher return than what their business can.
So then different people have kind of different requirements you need to understand.
Yes,
so just like what makes a person successful in this wealth management business?
Right. It's like cooking a food. Very difficult to give a recipe.
Personal touch is always there, even if you have a recipe.
Even if you have a recipe. You will see various wealth managers. Some of them are successful because of certain aspect of theirs. Some of them may not have those aspects. So just to give a very broad picture, what is important is to set up certain level of trust, because it's about money. Right? So you need to trust. So how do you create that trust with your client? So that is important.
So trust just with your company or with the person I'm dealing with also?
Specific with your client, whose money you're going to invest.
No, the client needs to have trust with, let's say, the company he's dealing with, or the agent he's particularly dealing with.
Both. To start with, it should be with the company. So the company should have certain brand, should be visible. If they have an international presence, even better. But just having a good company will not suffice, because you know that every large company will have different kind of employees, right? So then one has to become comfortable with the person as well.
I see. Okay.
So how much you are able to interact with that person will depend upon the capability of that person.
So someone cannot just rest on the laurels of the company.
No.
I have to build my own
Yes.
rapport with the client also.
Yes. So that individual has to build a certain level of comfort with the client. The trust. So trust, of course, as you rightly said, starts with the brand, the company, but again, it has to percolate down to the individual as well. How do you build a trust? Again, it's a long-term process. You just can't say that you have to trust me. Your actions will show it.
Right.
So one, you have to establish certain amount of credibility. What do you mean by that? It simply means that when I'm basically managing your money, I need to walk the talk. If I'm saying that I will do generate an X amount of returns, I'll help you generate certain amount of returns. Am I able to do that or not? Am I doing a proper risk analysis or not? Am I doing what I'm supposed to do or not?
How do you give them that credibility even before you ask for their money?
So in some cases, you can always give references of your existing clients if they're comfortable talking to, sharing their names with the new clients that your prospects that we're talking to. And second is you can always request them to start small and just see how we serve you. And if you start feeling comfortable with us, you can start topping up your investments.
Got it. And I believe you were at when you get into a family office management type of a role, it's kind of a very senior role. So there must have been quite a few things that you would have done differently or out of the ordinary to actually reach to such a high position.
As I said, that what is very important is client centricity. Not merely by words, because it can be sounding very cliche. It has to be understood in spirit. It has to be understood very clearly that the organization that you work for may be there for you for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. The clients can be with you for life. That sort of a mindset has to be there. That if I am dealing with someone, that person is going to be my client for life.
So I'm like a mini company in the large company.
Exactly.
This is my business.
Exactly.
Rather than this is somebody else's business and I'm just doing some job.
That is the pre-mindset that is required. So if you are looking at your client as someone is like you are going to remain married for the rest of the time. So how are you going to treat that person? So then in that case, the interest of that person comes before your own immediate.
So that makes me think like sometimes your company might have different goals. Like they might want to push some higher margin products.
Right.
But for the client, maybe they are a little risky or they don't match their risk profile or even their own preferences. And then what they like may not be as high margin for the company. Then how do you balance that? Like how do you prioritize? Like because you cannot make your company also not happy and neither the client. So that's I believe a tricky area. Like how do you navigate through that?
It's tough. So there is no clear-cut answer to this. That hey, I will not listen to my organization or my boss, and I just look at my clients. And you can't just take your clients for granted because clients today are very well versed, very well exposed. If you're not doing the right things, they'll get to know very easily.
And you never know, they might be invested in other people also, and
Exactly.
they're always in a judging mode.
Exactly. So it's a if you were to ask me, this is one of the toughest job any investment advisor working from a large organization sometimes face. This is where you have to figure out your dharma.
So any big challenges that you would like to share that you faced, like some struggles, and then what did you do to kind of come out of that?
So when you are in the work of managing money and managing wealth, so the stock markets can be extremely volatile. I remember when 2007, before 2007, I was mostly in insurance. In 2007, I entered into wealth management, mutual fund stocks, and the markets were doing very well. And by the time I was getting entrenched, that crisis, 2008 crisis happened. So it was like a shocker for me. And suddenly I could see that the client has lost 40%, 50% of their wealth.
So like our pandemic, as we
something like recently which happened in pandemic. And I was not even prepared as to how to manage that.
Yeah, those were like your early days in your career.
Right. So what do you do in the situation like this? So I felt at that point of time, being honest and showing up was very important. A lot of people will stop taking the calls of their clients. They will not want to come and listen to them because clients are not going to be easy with you, right? So showing up was very important, which says that you need to be there. So yes, resilience is to be there, that just because some investment decision may have not got as anticipated, you still need to be there,
own it up.
and own it up. You're right. So I personally feel that yes, as I said, that one, the biggest challenge that you will face is that the markets are going to remain extremely volatile. Be in and through with your clients. Don't start avoiding them when things really go wrong. Second thing is that there can be some service challenges also happening. When the service challenges happens, when you commit to a client, hey, I will deliver this to you in next 3 days, and your bank or is unable to do it, again show up. Whatever said and done, all the clients do understand the practical problems. What they want to see is you're there.
How sincere you are. Are you really invested in my
thing or not?
growth?
Yeah.
Did you ever face like target pressures also? Because
oh yeah,
I'm sure they must be like, company must be saying that we
Yeah.
need to have this much of investment, and
Yeah.
then how do you deal with that? Because this is also kind of a sales type of a job, and that target meeting is perhaps the highest stress thing that happens to a person in sales.
Yeah, we used to be called every morning and humiliated if you were not. And we used to have daily targets.
Daily
targets, weekly targets, monthly targets, quarterly targets.
Wow.
And if you successively don't do it, then you will be humiliated. You may end up losing your jobs.
What are the few things that you used to do to make sure that I can meet my target?
See, it's not always about targets. Your boss or your seniors also do understand how much effort you're putting in. So if you're able to kind of show, hey, these are the number of clients I'm meeting, these are the things that I'm doing. Some of them are converting, some of them are taking time to convert. If you are able to show that you're diligently working,
I see.
Then people on the top or your immediate bosses are ready to give you time.
I think they have also gone through this journey.
Exactly.
So effort also matters, not just the results.
Efforts matter.
This job seems like there is a lot of stress regardless. I mean, how much, because you said that there are targets, and sure, your boss will see whether you are meeting the results or not, but you have to put your everything into it, right? And that would take a long hours of work. And then, like, how did you manage that with your family and all? Like, there must have been a lot of some days must have been really difficult, right? So how did you navigate through that?
What makes you think so that I was able to manage? It was difficult. I was literally traveling around 4 days in a week. There were times I used to go to office and I used to get a call from my Mumbai office, please catch the flight and come to Mumbai. I wasn't even prepared for this. It was difficult. It's very difficult to bifurcate family and your career as two separate things. It comes as a package. What I've learned is you have to be genuine. You can say your family, look, this is my dream. There's something I want to do. I can't, as much you are important to me, this dream is also important to me. You need help sometimes, and you have to ask your family to help you.
So did you have some kind of role models or mentors in this journey?
So when we are in the frontline sales job, there are very few instances where you look up to someone and say, I want to become like that person.
I see.
You will always crave for their position.
I see.
That I want to be there. I want to be there.
But you have to craft your own way.
You have to craft your own way out.
So how did your education, like the formal education you did that help in this journey, or you had to do some kind of, I don't know, courses or certifications afterwards, or these things don't really help as much as you have to get onto the field and you have to really get into the grind and get going?
So we have to understand that when you are in wealth management and distribution of wealth products, what are the traits or what are the basic things that you need to have? One, you need to have the ability to reach out to clients, manage the clients, understand their requirements. These are the soft skills which you have to inculcate yourself, right? Your ability to sit with someone, listen to what that person is saying, understand the requirement, and then craft a particular solution that works for them.
Okay. So it's not just some algorithm somewhere in the computer and you just follow through that and you get the answer.
No, you'll not. Because what client is saying and what he may need may be two different things. You need to keep on asking. You need to keep on asking.
The client
probing is very important. So that is a skill that you need to develop as you go through. So their education may not necessarily help. What will help is meeting more number of clients, going on joint calls with other colleagues, going out with your bosses, learning on the field. And you should be open to get yourself fallen on the ground multiple number of times. But where will education help is in fundamentals. See, whatever said and done, stock market is nothing but demand and supply. If you understand economics well, if you understand numbers a little well, then your ability to understand and communicate becomes better.
I see. Yeah, because you need to read all the balance sheets and P&Ls and whatnot.
Yes.
So at least you need to have some inclination towards that.
Yes.
And then the human aspect has to come out over the time.
Exactly.
To connect with the clients and all.
Exactly. And also you need to also understand a little bit on the economic side, that what is GDP numbers, how does it grow, what constitutes what, which part of it. So you need to be slightly good in terms of economics, even if you're not very good with your economics and numbers, but if you're diligent enough,
You'll learn it.
you'll learn it.
This learning kind of in your job never stops, because it's not like I learned this equation and I'm done, because things are changing so rapidly. Like right now elections are on the verge, in the global economy, what is happening, what happens in China or the US, it also impacts India and all. So how do you keep yourself like up to date, because there's so many things happening and everything has impact on everything else?
Yes. So you need to read daily. Every day you need to invest half an hour to 45 minutes to read, to understand what's happening. Plus, you need to go to meet a lot of people. You need to attend conferences. You need to listen to a lot of podcasts. So you need to be honestly be on the ground, understanding what is happening there. You have to understand the pulse. You should be able to have some sort of a foresight, knowing what is happening right now.
And how it will result in
and
some
what
events
possible
later.
outcomes it can happen. You can never predict the market, but at least you can make some intelligent guess.
There are many people who have done well,
Right.
but then they kind of hit a plateau in their lives, and they are now not able to meet their targets. There are other things going on in life also, perhaps.
Right.
But and then very slowly and very surely they start getting into some kind of different situations. So like, what should those people now get into so that they can again continue their path to success?
So that is where we have to evaluate ourselves. That do I feel assured with my current status as far as whatever I have achieved in my life in terms of money, so to say. Now, if I feel assured that what I have earned is good enough for me to help me go ahead, it is high time we start experimenting. Because one of the biggest regret I have seen in most of my colleagues are the fact that they haven't tried. And it's okay to fail, because today any kind of failure or setback is not considered as failure. In fact, it has been seen that someone tried to do something else and the organizations are happy to take them back. Right. So if someone is feeling stuck at some point of time and they think that they have taken all the steps to overcome it, possibly they should change their goals. Life is calling out to them to try something more interesting. So we have to understand that how our brain is also structured is that it wants predictability and safety. So there is a safety in predictability. So it's always nice to hang around with similar kind of people, the people that we know. And what happens, you become more and more accustomed to that predictability.
The comfort zone sets in.
You have to break that. What is the difference between an entrepreneur and someone who wants to be in the same job? The ability to take risks, the ability to push the comfort zone.
So you say you can never predict the market. Is there some kind of a generic advice that you have for pretty much anybody it is applicable to, that how you should approach investing in general, even if you are not UHNI or HNI?
In my personal experience, I have seen wealth has been created by investors who have held into right funds or right companies over a longer period of time, which is called a multiplier effect.
Okay, compounding
effect. Okay. So that is where the real wealth gets created. In day trading, there are days you make money, there are days you lose money. And one bad market can actually shave off all that monies that you have made in the past. But if you have bought into a right company, even if the company falls when the markets are bad, but it will eventually go up again. So it's better to kind of identify some those good companies. You get it at a good price, you keep on adding and adding again.
So just shifting gears a little, I know you left that corporate job and then you decided to kind of start on your own.
Right.
So what was the mindset? Like, what made you do that? And what were the challenges that happened there? Is it like it can, because people are always very jittery when you have to like leave your salary and all that, and then start something on your own?
Right.
And then where will you find the clients and all? So how was that transition for you?
This was again forced by my own clients. They said they are sick and tired of changing the companies when I change the jobs. So some of these clients have been with me from last 10, 15 years.
I
So
see.
every time I moved from one place to another, they came along with us.
Oh, so that
They-
marriage continued.
The marriage continued. I said that ultimately you have to look at every client as a client for life. If you see them, they are honestly going to be there with you.
Mhm.
So they said we are sick and tired of changing banks. Why don't you do one thing? Please set up something on your own so that we know that you are stable there and our monies are also stable. We don't need to keep on changing
I
accounts.
see.
So one or two clients of mine said that I should go ahead and do this. That gave me the confidence.
Mhm.
And once I set it up and we started it off, when we reached out to other clients as well, we were very surprised that all of them decided to open an account with us. Initially, I wasn't really sure that they will do so because I thought if I'm not working from a branded institution and starting on my own, will they second guess? Would they want to put their money with us? And I was surprised
I see.
to see that nobody said no.
That's very nice.
Everybody was, in fact, some of the clients were so happy that good you started on
Finally.
your own. Finally, it's good you started on your own. It's even easier for me to give a lot more money to you because you're now going to treat it like your own
Your own
institution
business
money.
now. You just mentioned that it was all your clients all were very happy to go along with you, but I'm sure that it must not have been extremely rosy. There must have been some challenges. Everybody says going into an entrepreneurship is not that easy.
So the first challenge that I faced or we faced was to get people hired. So we onboarded a person who's going to take care of a service, and before we started the business, he said, "I'm not going to join."
Hmm.
So when you're small, attracting talent is very difficult. So that was the biggest challenge. So getting right people on board was very difficult, and we couldn't pay too much because we were just starting. When I sort of put things together, I have my partners who came on board, and we created the client portfolio, and we started investing. As soon as the investment happened, COVID happened.
Okay.
The market crashed, and when the market crashed, the first response of the clients were that I want to pull the money out. So imagine a situation
You just started.
that I just started. I put all my equity in this. I don't have a regular salary. And at the same time, the very business we just started 3, 4 months before is almost seeing it at end.
Yeah.
So that was the unforeseeable event that happened, and it felt that we will not be able to survive, and one has to go back looking for a job again. That was second biggest challenge.
So what did you do about it then? Like,
I was involved, not entangled.
I think maybe your clients still trusted on you, and not everybody would have pulled that out because you have built that over time, right?
So I did
That would have
exactly
helped
what
a
I
lot.
spoke to you. I showed up in front of all the clients, not physically, it was COVID,
Mhm.
but through a Zoom meet. So we used to talk to client every day. We used to update them of what is happening. We were there. If they wanted to pull out the money, we pulled out the money. We kind of discussed, gave them updates. We were in and through the entire process.
Mhm.
It was the biggest challenge that we faced for 1.5 years to work out of remote, don't have an organization set up. The softwares have suddenly were not working, software services were not working. So that was challenging. But you know what happened after a year or so, looking at how involved we were with their money, a lot of the clients consolidated their income with their wealth with us. They pulled out money from other banks and
elsewhere.
places and they gave it to us. So what looked like a curse actually
Turned out to be a boon.
a boon for us because suddenly our assets increased tremendously after this. The third challenge that we faced was scalability. So when you're small, your capital is limited. How do you attract talent? How do you get right kind of people to work with you, right? So and we were not interested in trying to get money from outside and get a private equity.
So you're bootstrapped.
We are bootstrapped. We devised a strategy internally that how do we sort of give a little bit of stake, a little bit of control, and get people whom we are comfortable with.
I
So
see.
we started building certain amount of partnership model.
Okay.
So the
So
idea of
everybody is fully invested.
fully invested and involved in the entire process. There were other challenges which wasn't big enough, like you do not represent a big brand, specifically the new clients that we are reaching out to.
Or with the new clients.
New
of course.
clients. So why should we trust you? But these are basically, my understanding is these are simple questions they ask for the sake of asking. But when they talk to you, when they look at what you have done and the set of clients that you manage,
There's a lot of technology changes also are coming, like
Right.
AI is coming and all.
right?
Does that also impact in your line of work, or you're technology agnostic, and like how what role does that have to play?
It's very helpful. So, what technology can do for us today is to analyze the portfolios in a much quick fashion compared to what manually we would have been doing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So, it certainly is very, very helpful, and we need to be there to adopt to these technologies very quickly.
I see.
Now, does it make our job irrelevant?
Certainly not, I'm sure.
So, because as I told you, what is important is trust.
I think that relationship is what I'm hearing, is that relationship continues, and relationship is all based on
Trust.
trust.
So that it will be taking a lot of time for machines to build that sort of trust
If at all.
and relationship, yeah, with human beings. But they are pretty good enablers, and yeah, one needs to take advantage of.
Okay, okay. So what else is going in life? Like apart from all this finance and wealth management, what else are you? I'm sure you must be passionate about a lot of things. Like what keeps you busy other than this?
I like teaching Upanishads.
Oh, very interesting. Nice. So spirituality is your inclination.
Yeah, if you call that as spirituality, I mean, what is spirituality
Is
itself
itself is a big question.
big question, but yes,
I'm
yeah,
sure.
we can say that.
So then how do you reconcile this spiritual aspect and material aspect of it? Here you are advising people how to manage your wealth and like how to earn more wealth, and there you are talking about like, get rid of all this external paraphernalia and get back to yourself. Like how do you reconcile those two things?
So there is an inherent assumption in what you are saying is that they are mutually exclusive. If we get into the depth of it,
Mm-hmm.
money is also a spiritual experience, right? Yes, a relationship is a spiritual experience. Family is a spiritual experience. Even an issue with your client is also a spiritual experience. You being sacked of the organization is a spiritual experience, and if you're going up in the organization, also is a spiritual experience.
Oh, very
So
interesting.
these are all
So it's
experiences.
basically the attitude by which you look at the experience that is
Exactly.
constant and okay.
Exactly. These are all your experiences, right? Now, the point what spirituality is talking about is no, it never says that you should not be involved
Mhm.
either with money or with relationship or with your career. What it basically tells us is you should not get entangled.
I see.
So spirituality, or what Upanishads are basically helping us on a day-to-day basis, is to be fully involved
Mm.
yet not get entangled, because what causes problems even in your career is entanglement, not involvement.
These are little heavy words for me. What do you mean by that?
So let's take a practical example here. So when you are in your job and you want to basically meet certain targets, suppose you want to onboard at least 5 clients in this month. So you need to basically reach out to maybe 20 clients or 20 prospects. You have to call them up, you have to follow them up, you get to meet them, go and make presentations. So to do this, you need a lot of involvement,
Okay, yeah.
right? You need to have that desire to achieve your targets. Now, that is involvement. But what happens with entanglement? That if at all I'm not able to achieve my outcome for some reason, I get very flustered. I start blaming myself. I start blaming the organization. I start blaming the industry. I start blaming a whole lot of things. I start feeling angry. I start looking at my colleague and say, that person is able to do it. Must be something else the person must be doing. So I get into a lot of mental noise. I
see.
get entangled because somewhere when the outcome is not favorable, we start getting into a mental loop.
Mm-hmm.
That is where the entanglement comes into picture.
Basically, involvement is like for with the controllables, and when you
Exactly.
start worrying about the uncontrollables, then
That is
kind
where
of
the
leads
problem
to
happens.
entanglement. Just one last question I want to ask is, if you were to give advice to your 20-year-old self, personal, professional, spiritual, any which way, like
Right.
these are my 3 top life learnings. If you...
Right. The first learning is very clear, and that kind of spoke to you, that treat your clients as your lifetime partners.
Okay.
That's one thing. So, however big or small a client is a client, and you have no idea what references and where that client can take you, in what way the client can help you. So, treat every client. I would have. There was a time when I was just initially setting up my career. I was pretending, hey, this is a small client. Don't concentrate there. Concentrate on bigger clients. Concentrate on this. So, yes, I made that mistakes, but now I realize, no, every client should be looked at from the same lens. That's number one.
Okay.
Number two, we unnecessarily take too much of stress of failures.
Mm-hmm.
How much ever stressful we are, we will fail. And there will be point of time, even if we have least expected, things will happen in your life that you would have never anticipated. So neither can you foresee your failures, nor can you actually foresee your success.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my time used to go in terms of how do I avoid failures and how do I go on the fast track of success. Rather, I should have concentrated on how can I do my present job in
Job,
the
right.
best possible manner, because
Yes.
outcome is not in my control.
Spiritual aspect coming
It's
in.
actually not in my control. And
Mm-hmm.
the failures, and the third important thing is failure is never a failure, it's a setback.
Mm-hmm.
The mistakes that again I have made is when there were setbacks. I used to kind of say that my boss is not a right person, the organization did not do the right things, my colleagues were not so good, I did not get enough support from my family. So instead of seeing
Blaming
it,
others.
blaming an outside, something inside has led to this setback. And if I can identify that,
Mm-hmm.
my growth becomes much faster.
I really enjoyed this. This was a lot of learning for myself also. I'm sure if anybody who's trying to get into this line also, they'll also draw a lot of inspiration
Yeah.
as well as learning. So thank you so much. It is really helpful.
Thank you so
I really
much.
appreciate it. This was really nice. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.